I'm
This
looking at
daytime.
I think Dr. Sharma, you may start now. It's 5:30, 31.
First of all, let me correct. I am not Dr. Sharma. I am just KK Sharma only.
Ban sir,
But,
namaskar. Hariom this side.
Namaskar, namaskar.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Sir, good evening,
Good
sir.
to see you. Good
Good
to see
evening, Mr.
everybody
Bang.
here.
Good evening, Mr. Bang.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
People are just joining, so maybe we can wait for a couple of minutes.
Right.
Sure.
And just a request, if everyone switch on their videos, we can see each other. I can see R. Kannan, who was my roommate in UDCT. So happy to see him online and joining from Ahmedabad.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I am Subhash Tandon from New Delhi.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
All good, sir. This is Sheikh Chandani here.
Yeah. I've been talking to you through mails and
Yes, sir.
submission. Yeah.
Dr. Sharma, I said doctor because you look like a doctor.
I am honored, sir. Thank you very much.
मुझे लगता है मुझे कभी दिल की तकलीफ हुई तो सीधा आप ही के पास आऊंगा.
आपकी होगी नहीं, क्योंकि आप इतना अच्छा लिखते हैं. आधी तकलीफ तो पढ़ के और लिखने में ही आपकी चली जाती होगी.
अरे सर, फिर भी कुछ ना कुछ तो हो सकता है. कोई हो सकता है कोई नड़ी नाड़ी में कहीं परेशानी हुई तो आपके पास आऊंगा जरूर.
उसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी आपको. That's what I would pray.
धन्यवाद. तो अभी कितने हो गए अभी राइट नाउ 19 people are there online.
So maybe secretary or chairman can just introduce and then we can start.
Yes. Chairman sir, please.
Thank you everybody for joining this special presentation by KK Sharma called KK, fondly by us. And
A little bit louder. Dinesh, I think you have to just
is it
take your mic closer to you.
Is it good?
Yeah, now it is fine.
Okay. So thank you all, and thanks KK for accepting invitation to deliver this lecture. KK has been UDCT graduate from 1989 and has been serving in the industry for a long time with different industries, and now working as a whole-time director EHS on DCM Shriram Limited. For his specific introduction, I would request KK, can you cover up your few journey quickly before you start, if it is okay
Sure.
with you. Thank you all for joining, and over to you, KK, please.
Thank you very much, Dinesh, and everyone to be online right now for this third session in the series on low carbon emission technologies. And to start with, just would like to introduce myself in terms of my academic as well as professional journey. So I passed out in 89 and joined Garda Chemical as a management trainee, where I was in manufacturing, had hands-on experience in isoprotein and cypermethrin. These are the two plants, and also was very deeply involved in commissioning of CMSC plant at Lote Parshuram, which was really an in-depth, you can say, experience which I got. And having served for almost 7 years in Garda, I moved on to Ranbaxy, where I again joined in manufacturing in cephalosporin, manufacturing cephalexin monohydrate. There, this transformation into EHS took place way back in 1999 when there was some effluent related issues, and I was given special charge for implementing zero discharge plants. So that's how my transition to EHS took place. And then I was also given a lot of professional trainings in terms of safety, ISO 14,000, 18,000 and all these courses. And then I was even sent abroad also on hazardous waste management at Ranbaxy. And after serving for almost 10 years, I got the opportunity to work with Jubilant Organosis at that point of time, which later on become Jubilant Life Sciences. That's something which again transformed me to a overall sustainability professional. And I was there for almost 7 years with Jubilant and had the privilege to work under Mr. Bang, Dr. Saxena, which are again a very memorable and a very enriching experience. And from there, I moved to Syngenta, which was more of a multinational, global multinational company, where I got exposed to a different set of experience in terms of manufacturing of various and processing seeds. And there I worked for almost 3 years, then moved to Delhi in UFlex for a very short duration of almost 1.5 years. And since 2017, I joined DCM Shriram, which is more into various verticals of businesses, which I'll be talking about in the presentation also, which I'll be sharing. So not taking much time. So here I am responsible for driving EHS and sustainability for last 7 years. And really blessed to be part of a group which is almost having an heritage of 135 years, which really is working towards not only giving back to the society, but also at the same time impacting overall what we really see, inclusive growth. That's something which is part of even today's discussion also. The ESG part is really being practiced. So that's I'm going to share in the presentation also. With that, I think that's what is the professional journey is all about. And in terms of, I think, safety and sustainability, what I feel is it's something which is now a part of my, you can say, passion, where it is not only in the company, but wherever I am, I try to bring that change all around wherever I am. So that's something which I feel so happy and blessed that I am working in this field for now. In terms of whatever best experience I've gained, I'm trying to utilize that and sharing across so that it can be multiplied and many, many more KK Sharmas are getting generated in the society. So should I move on to the presentation, if you permit, everyone?
Please go ahead with the presentation.
Yeah. And my just one humble request, because I will not be able to read the text parallelly. So maybe Dinesh, you or Mr. Tekchandani can make a note of it. And in case I'm required to stop in between to answer that query, feel free to just stop me at that point of time. Otherwise, I have kept last 10 minutes for question answer session.
That's good. So I think
Okay.
we'll keep the question answer in the end, and we'll keep taking the notes, and people can ask questions. I'll
Okay.
open it to question answer after that. Please go ahead, KK.
I hope my presentation is visible. My screen is visible now.
Yes, can you go to present? Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Go ahead.
Visible.
So the contents I have tried to kept as much limited to the content which are reflected here in this slide, which is basically context setting, and then followed by decarbonization approach, which some general case studies and specific from DCM Shriram that I would be sharing, and then our ESG performance at DCM for this previous financial year, and last 10 minutes I would like.
Recorded.
I would like to spend on question and question answers. I would like to spend.
Didi, can you mute, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Just hold. Yeah. So in terms of the climate change, I think many of us are now aware, and it is very, very evident. Rather than going into each and every aspect, I would like to highlight the recent flood which occurred last month in Tamil Nadu. That's a real example in Chennai. We have never seen in the past such flood taking place. That's the real climate change, which is very, very visible. The second one is 2023 is the hottest or warmest year since 1850. That's another example, which is real evidence of this climate change, how it is impacting. As per this RBI discussion paper, you could see that this temperature increase, which is very much evident, and it is going to not only shave 8 to 13% of the global GDP by this century end. So it is not only economic, But at the same time, what we see, lot of, I think, impact, adverse impact, which is visible all across. And as per the global risk report, which is from the World Economic Forum, which was for the year 2022, the global risks that have been identified mainly comprising of environmental risk, which comprises of climate action failure, extreme weather, and biodiversity loss. This is something which every business need to take care. And in fact, in the 2023 report also, these climate actions and biodiversity are again the top 5 risks that have been identified. And in terms of various incidents that took place over the last century till date, if we see, 50% of the incidents are in the last 2 decades. What it means is that is industrialization definitely has contributed towards this climate change which has occurred, and these incidents or these calamities are ultimately evident in the last 2 decades, which is very much visible to us. The recent even today's paper from this Indian Express, you could see that as per the World Economic Forum, this report which is recently released last week only, it is going to really create a lot of trouble in terms of 14. It is anticipated that 14.5 million people will get affected because of the climate crisis, which is already happening around and is going to really create a loss of almost 12.5 trillion by 2050. That's an anticipated figure, which is very much, I think, area of concern for all of us. In terms of emissions, we are aware of, just to reiterate, that India being the 3rd largest emitter across world really need to take action along with other countries, which is very much evident from various COP meetings which are happening. And if we see here, the global emissions in 2023 were 37.55 gigatons, with the India as the 3rd largest emitter. And as per CSC's projection, almost 2 years back, it was anticipated that India's emission was 2.88 in 2021, and it would grow almost to the tune of almost double by 2030. So there is need to curtail these emissions in the times to come. And hard abate actors like sectors like iron, steel, cement, chemicals, heavy duty transport like this trucking, shipping, aviation. These are the areas where real actions needs to be taken so that we substantially reduce GHG emission. In terms of ESG, what exactly ESG is all about? So this basically talks about that under E, we take care of decarbonizing pathways. We take care of the environmental management in terms of water and waste, biodiversity. And in terms of social aspect, it's the caring for people and communities, which businesses have to specifically look into: talent management, diversity and integrity, empowering community, and finally under governance is how you are ultimately managing this environment and social aspect in terms of corporate transparency, identifying various risk and mitigation measures undertaken, and of course the systems and procedures in terms of taking all the measures to address environmental and social issues. And all these are ultimately aligned with the global, these SDGs, which we call Sustainable Development Goals 17 since 2015. Every corporate is aligning their activities in line with these SDGs. And there is need. Why this ESG is important, I'm going to talk about in the subsequent slide. But certainly this ESG is nothing but has to be seen as a value so that it can be integrated in all business activities. It should not be, that's what I firmly believe based on my experience over these years, that it has to be seen as a value, so that it's not a cost center which has to be seen differently, but it has to be specifically integrated in all business activities so that it is inherently part of every activity and the value can be realized in a real term. This is something which is very, very important, that the recent report from the World Economic Forum, where the top risks have been identified, the top 10 global risks in next 2 years, if you see, it is basically not only social, environmental, but also misinformation and disinformation is something which is identified. Along with that, cybersecurity is also identified as one of the top risks. But over the next 10 years, if you see, the top four risks which are identified for businesses are mainly environmental, which comprises of, as I mentioned, not only climate change, but also biodiversity, as well as natural resource shortage. That is something which is going to impact various businesses. And the need is that there are various stakeholders who are looking at various businesses in terms of their sustainable growth. These key stakeholders are investors who are very, very demanding now in terms of the returns from the businesses, customers whose expectations are really going beyond satisfaction levels also sometimes, and shareholders who are having a reliance, or you can say trust level for various businesses, and employees who are also valuing various corporates or businesses in terms of their expectations. So the need for businesses has really changed now in terms of their real actions. If you see, it has now changed or transformed from asset value to a more dominance to intangible assets, where it is more of shared values, which is being looked at by various stakeholders in the form of various expectations. And if you see, this ESG is taking now a shape of regulation also. This slide basically talks about not only in India, where this BRSR core as well as BRR, which earlier was since 2011, was one of the requirement by various business, or you can say listed entities, to be put in place in their annual report. But if you see across the world, various countries have come out with various requirement under E, S, and G in terms of bringing regulation, not only to drive this aspect in their businesses, but also to ensure that climate mitigation takes a formal action in place. In terms of our, I think you are not able to see. Let me take it.
We can see, KK.
Okay. Okay. So this is about our commitment, which our Honorable Prime Minister had taken this in COP 26, whereby Panchamrit pledge, we name it in terms of non-fossil fuel energy capacity by 500 gigawatt by 2030. And the most important one is the second one, where we meet 50% of our energy requirements with renewable by 2030. And also 1 billion tons CO2 emission reduction by 2030, and carbon intensity of economy by 45% with respect to 2005 by 2030. And finally, to achieve net zero by 2070 is something which is a very, very, I think, aspirational goal, but certainly an achievable one. And we have now various frameworks which are in place in terms of the carbon market, which is being promoted in one or the other form by Government of India. And even the World Bank also has granted some 8 million grant to ultimately prepare for piloting all these carbon pricing instruments in our country. And this is the area which is now picking up. And now moving ahead, in the recent this COP 28, you might be aware, some of you might be aware of that it happened in Dubai last month, whereby this if emissions stay on their current trajectory, there is estimate from various sources that this net zero would not arrive even by the end of this century. That's the fear which all of the countries now believe, that it is the time that we have to act now. The few takeaways which are very much evident from out of this COP 28 discussion is, the very first one is that there is need to reduce GHG emission by 43%, which is to the tune of almost 22 gigatons by 2030 against that 38 gigatons which we saw in the previous slide. And it is believed that this 9 gigaton of GHG emission can be reduced using high integrity carbon reduction and carbon removal projects. So that's something very, very feasible if specific actions are taken for this reduction. And the last but not the least is there is need to scale up finance mobilization by developed countries to developing ones in their adaptation efforts and mitigation of climate change. What it means is that climate change is going to really create challenges for all of us. But at the same time, we also need to develop parallelly to adopt those temperature changes which are happening. So accordingly, the equipments, the processes and other things are to be designed accordingly. But at the same time, our mitigation plans of climate change should also go hand in hand in parallel. And the suggested actions for this is there is need for high integrity carbon market, as I mentioned in the previous slide, to fund the transition. And there is also need to develop high integrity carbon framework for corpus buyers and sellers. So it is more of a transparent system that will be available. And last but not the least is the regulatory framework embedding this entire transition across various countries. The idea, the approach which is recommended for following, just let me see how I can.
We can see, KK.
Okay. So this is about the process which is being followed and suggested just is to first of all do the benchmarking. Benchmarking means you are ultimately doing the baseline assessment where you are today in terms of your carbon emission. Then the second step is creating a roadmap. That roadmap has to be very, very clear in terms of setting the reduction targets and also how it will be achieved and what is to be achieved. That is something very, very important. And it has to be based on the best industrial practice or standards that are available for any industry to follow. And then the third step in this approach is about monitor and measure. That is important. Unless you monitor, you measure, you can't control. That's the philosophy behind this. And there are different methods of quantifying various emissions. It has to be picked up based on the approach to meet the targets that you have set. And finally, the mitigation option, which is very, very important to understand that it doesn't fit in a specific way, but it has to be based on industry to industry. If something is fitting in one sector, it may not be feasible for the other sector. So that's something industry or the corporates have to ultimately choose upon. And finally, communicating and reporting in a very, very transparent manner is something which has to be put in place. This entire approach is something which ideas to ultimately action that has to be followed in order to really achieve the reduction emission target. And here, just why it is not moving. It got stuck. I don't know what happened. Please bear with me. The presentation got stuck.
Take your time, sir. Try sort it out.
Now it is fine. So the actions on emission monitoring and abatement is the benefit because of this proactive voluntary detection and mitigation of emissions. What are the benefit? It regulatory compliance. It will reduce regulatory and reputational risk that companies are facing. The technologies that are actively track and manage emissions set companies up as future leaders, and they will be ahead of their competition. So that's something will be the benefit of this approach if it is followed holistically. And working with partners or collaborating this, that can help companies leverage advanced measurement techniques. These days, even the continuous monitoring for any leak detections are available. which can quantify the rate of leakage also and deliver real time alerts for operators to take immediate action. That is something which can really reduce this emissions from the processes. And second one is the abatement solutions are very attractive, and it increases not only efficiency, boosts production and reduces waste. And thirdly, solutions can effectively utilize data to reduce emission across the value chain. I can quote one example. These AIs and all are being used now in various power plants to efficiently operate boilers where heat rates are ultimately analyzed based on the data which is available from the power plant. That's something we are also using. I'm going to share that as one of the case study also. These are in general few case studies which are companies taking in terms of not normal today, but a little bit different, which is the net positive action. The first one is eliminating carbon, utilizing renewable and renewably sourced materials, which is biomass and all. Create no waste and build everything for full circularity in terms of reducing the emissions. Replenish and make cleaner all the water it draws so that the companies become more of water positive. And through its products, services, and purpose-led initiatives, not philanthropy, consumers and communities will be better off. That's various companies are doing now differently. Few of the examples which are mentioned here in terms of various sectors, food and agriculture companies, they are embracing regenerative practices, making the soil richer, utilizing organics and other materials, protecting biodiversity and sequestering millions of tons of carbon through plantation. Aluminium, cement, and steel, which are the hard to abate sectors, developing carbon free products and taking carbon out of air. Last year, Jindal has come out with two of their products, which are termed in terms of zero carbon emission steel. That's a latest example I have come across. FMCG companies are increasing human and planetary well-being with everything they sell in terms of product stewardship, what they are ultimately following. Natural resource and material companies giving back to the earth and improving lives in the indigenous community they impact. That's being followed. Social media companies, very, very important role they are playing in terms of people finding truth and strengthening the domestic democratic processes. And apparel companies also decoupling their growth from further resources use, providing living wages, restoring dignity. All these are basically in terms of encouraging ESG in their businesses. And in the supply chain aspect, chains also, so that they are the partners in this entire journey of ESG in various companies. And the financial companies, as I mentioned in the previous slide also, they are funding only clean technologies and serving the poor better than the rich, giving people a hand up and creating equal opportunities for all. And they are only investing if there are ESG actions associated with various investments. Now moving on to the next one, where I'll be sharing. Yeah, these are the general decarbonization initiatives which are listed here. And I'll be sharing few examples from DCM Shriram, our experience in terms of solar, wind, biofuels. These are the few decarbonization initiatives that one can take. CO2 abatement in agriculture and land use, non-CO2 abatement in waste and industry, industrial electrification, carbon capture in power and industry, and of course the last one, which is low carbon power capacity, that is nuclear and geothermal. So now coming to DCM Shriram now. Again, I think there is some issue with the presentation.
Take your time. Mr. DD Maheshwari and Mr. Saswant Sarangi, kindly mute your mics, please.
It's not
Take your
moving.
time. Take your time.
So basically, next slide is about DCM Shriram. I think many of you are aware. So in terms of three verticals we have, the very first one is
No,
agri rural business, which basically comprising of our sugar distillery business, the fertilizer business, and agri input business, including seeds.
KK,
The
it's
second
not
one is
moving.
the
Can you
chlor
sorry to
vinyl business,
interrupt.
which comprises of chloralkali, PVC, and cement. And the
KK.
third one is the value added business,
KK,
which
can you please go out and come back in the presentation?
I am doing that only. From the presentation itself, you are saying.
Yeah, yeah. Again, now go back.
Okay.
Sorry for the change, but
No worries. Thanks for suggesting.
No, but it's still coming the old one. Change your slide on your deck and then come out.
Okay.
Go to the next slide here, and then share. Or let it be here. Doesn't matter.
Is
Good.
it visible now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this is about our businesses, which basically falls into three verticals. The first one is agri-rural, as I mentioned, where urea, sugar, and distillery, farm solution, which are agri inputs, and seeds, hybrid seeds. And then the second one is chlor-vinyl, where it is chlor-alkali, calcium carbide, PVC, PVC resin, and cement. PVC resin means that is manufactured at our Kota site only. And this PVC compounding is the forward integration, where compounding business takes care of the blending of this PVC into various usable products. And value added product, which is again arising out of this PVC, and also aluminum UPVC windows, which is the third business, which is value added business. Again, I think it is not moving. Maybe what I will do is,
Yeah.
I will
Stay here.
yeah,
Stay here.
I will run from here only. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the first case, I think very interesting one, which is a more of in-house innovation, which was done last year. There was in-house experimentation done in terms of one of the sludge which is being generated from calcium carbide was utilized in our cement plant as part of the cement manufacturing activity. And this basically comprises of calcium hydroxide sludge, which is having 90 to 92% of water and 8 to 10% of solid. The issue was that this was when utilized in a cement plant to the extent of some 12%, it was decanted in a decanter, and solid content increases to 14 to 15% maximum. And then some of the sludge which was not getting utilized were ultimately going for storage in the lagoons and all. That was a challenge. So in terms of this aspect, it was thought that if the moisture content can be reduced to 65 to 70%, this entire sludge can be utilized in the cement itself, so that no storage will be required. So this is how the experimentation started off. And the flue gas from our cement kiln, which was comprising of almost 13 to 14% of CO2, was utilized for converting this calcium hydroxide into calcium carbonate. And what it was found was interesting was that it was settling at a faster rate as compared to calcium hydroxide, this calcium carbonate. And as a result, this entire calcium hydroxide sludge was getting converted into calcium carbonate. And for that, an investment of almost 15 crores was done. And the payback was almost like 7 to 8 months. And today, when I'm sharing this with you, the sludge consumption is almost now doubled, and even the stored sludge from the lagoon is also getting utilized. So we are expecting that in 1 year's time, that space will also be now available for any other new activity at the site. So due to this increased sludge usage, the power saving also to the tune of almost 21,000 metric tons of CO2 emission could be reduced, which is because of various limestone crushing as well as its handling is avoided at the site. And of course, the key raw material from the mine also is substituted with this lime sludge, what we have ultimately got from the reactors. And this is a flow sheet of the which is evident in the next one. I would just move on to the next one, which clearly talks about that from the kiln, whatever flue gases are there, these are passed through because the temperature is around 145 to 165 degrees Celsius. It is passed through a flue gas chamber where it is cooled down to almost like 65 to 75 temperature or so. And using these blowers, ultimately put into the reactors, which initially were two, and later on the third reactor was put. And here the sludge, which is from the calcium carbide, is carbonated. As a result, calcium carbonate, which is produced, is finally, when put into the decanter, had better settling and ultimately utilized into the cement plant. And this entire process is on DCS, whereby all these three reactors are monitored through various DCS operations. And it is now more of a streamlined operation, which is there at the site. And these are few glimpses where you could see these three reactors. Initially, two were put, and these are the carbonation reactors. And that's how this has really benefited, not only in terms of our process, but also utilizing the CO2 in the cement kiln. And the second example which I would like to share is about the biomass utilization in various boilers, including feedstock mix, whereby we were using this bagasse in our sugar mills for producing power since long. But certainly in the times to come, we are increasing the biomass in our captive power plant, the thermal power plant, whereby these green part in our energy is also increasing progressively. And we are today at 42% of our direct energy is green. And the second aspect is even we came out with this distillery units which are attached to our sugar units in Uttar Pradesh, whereby the slop fired boilers, which is generating the concentrated slop, is fed into the specially designed slop fired boiler, where along with the bagasse, which is as a support fuel, is also utilized for generating auxiliary power for distillery. And as I mentioned, biomass in our feedstock in captive thermal power plants at Bharuch as well as Kota sites, we are utilizing it and increasing progressively from 10% to 20% in the last couple of years. And lastly, the recently installed, this is something very important to note, that even the recently installed boiler last year, we had designed it with 40% biomass feedstock, so that we maximize the green part in the boiler feedstock to achieve the green energy. The third one is in terms of renewable, whereby we had put up last year 150 megawatt renew power at Bhavnagar. So this is catering to our, again, Bharuch facility, where many of our products are now considered as, you can say, green in terms of the reduced carbon footprint, which includes hydrogen, which is one of the byproduct from the chloralkali plant. And in fact, that hydrogen we were utilizing in our fuel furnaces also in as a fuel in our various furnaces, which is used for our these soda ash, this caustic flakes, whereby substituting fossil fuel, thereby reducing GHG emission. So all these actions, along with these other initiatives, whereby this alcohol, which is produced from molasses, that goes for our petrol blending in under this national petrol blending. And that has caused almost reduction in the previous year to the tune of 3.3 lakh tons of CO2 emission. And hydrogen, as I mentioned, is also utilized in fuel, as a fuel in furnaces. Utilizing biogas. This is also another interesting example, whereby the biogas which is generated from biodigesters in our sugar plant as well as distillery plant is from various ETPs are also utilized as fuel, substituting PNG and LPG. That's something very, very recent one in last 1 year or so. This is being done. And The third aspect is about utilizing data and technology. As I mentioned, we are utilizing AI and ML data in terms of not only utilizing for heat rate analysis, as I mentioned, in the power plant for maximizing boiler efficiency, but also this AI data is also utilized for scheduling our preventive maintenance for all the equipments, which ultimately is also helping in terms of reducing and achieving resource efficiency. Then AI and ML data in logistics is also something which is being used for inbound. This is also almost the last 1 year we have been using for inbound and outbound vehicles, which ultimately is also helping us, though we have not yet gone for scope 3 emission right now tracking, but certainly it's one action which we have already planned for the this year, financially. And business intelligence reports in our finance are also something important to talk about against the conventional XLS-based reports, which also has reduced GHG emission, and digital issuance of POs as well as online payments eliminated the use of paper and checks and all. And this is another interesting example of CBG. This is the compressed biogas plant, which is coming up in terms of another action or initiative from Pressmud, which is under implementation, and by this year and that is going to be executed. And this is the last example to share upon in terms of the circularity. Right from the inception, this Kota complex, besides our sugar plant where everything is getting recycled in one way or the other, this is another example whereby the entire site is conceptualized in such a way that whatever is being generated is getting utilized in some way or the other, either in-house or outside. So if you see here, the power plant which is generating fly ash is getting utilized for cement manufacturing, along with the lime sludge, which is getting generated from the carbide plant. Similarly, chloralkali plant, whatever HCl or chlorine is getting generated, that is getting utilized for making PVC. And similarly, hydrogen, which is again used for as a fuel in our caustic soda flakes, that is something which is again an example of circularity. And similarly, the acetylene gas, which is produced again in the carbide plant, is also utilized for PVC plant. And if you see all these actions, ultimately is something which is making this entire plant a real example of circular economy model, whereby all the waste as well as byproducts are getting utilized, and the only waste which is getting generated from this entire facility is the chloralkali brine sludge, which is getting stored in a secured landfill. But of course, we are also working towards identifying the ingredients of those sludge so that that also can be gainfully utilized as one of the raw materials in various usage in maybe rubber and other industry that is being anticipated. And if you see a few numbers that I would like to share is 3% of our total waste. This is at the company level, not at Kota, but that goes for landfill for disposal. Rest of the 97% waste is getting recycled. And 25% of our materials which are generated as byproducts or waste are getting recycled as key raw materials across various sites. And this is about reporting. We have started the formally reports since last 5 years. This year now it will be the 6th year report, which is already underway. And in terms of our ESG performance, as I mentioned, we are water positive company. We are 12 times water positive, and we have been reducing our water footprint over these years, maintaining zero liquid discharge in distilleries. And in terms of GHG emission, we are 42% green energy. And we have been able to reduce 26 lakh tons of CO2 emissions last year, of taking various initiatives which I shared in the previous slides. And the reduction in energy intensity by 12% over the previous year. Circular economy, I have already talked about. And in terms of plastic recycling, which is one of the legal obligation also, we are recycling almost now this year, the target is 100%. Last year, 70% of the packaging waste was recycled through engaged recyclers. And overall, we could reduce 70% reduction in the previous year. And in terms of safety, I think would like to share, we are having this British Safety Council 5-star rating at Bharuch as well as our Kota site. And all our sites are 45,001 certified. And in terms of lost time injury frequency rate, we had last year this 0.11 for employees and 0.26 for contract employees. And our average training hours in terms of which includes EHS as well as other related trainings to the tune of some 2 days per employee per year. Employee turnover rate is approximately 15%. And CSR, which is an obligation whereby 18.76 crore spent was made on community development activities impacting 1.3 lakh people. And in terms of disclosure, we are disclosing not only BRSR as a voluntary last year, but now it is mandatory. So we are reporting. And DGSI score of 57, whereby we were rated as last year 7% among the global chemical companies. And by Business World, we were second among the diversified sector and 38th among the top 200 in the country by Business World last year. And we have digitalization and other policies in place to take care of all E&S aspect, as I shared earlier. And this is the last one, which talks about the rewards, recognition and certifications in terms of the accolades that we could achieve because of the ESG performance. And our sugar sites are Bon Sucro certified, and our Bharuch facility is also responsible care certified. With that, I think it's the time. It's 6:18 by my watch. I think that's all from my side, and it's really thankful to all of you for your patience listening. And now I leave the floor for question and answer. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, KK, for delivering a very, in a very simple way, and to understand the whole presentation. And I open the floor for any questions. Anybody has a question, please raise your hand.
One comment, Dinesh, your voice is not coming to us.
Oh, Dr. Saxena, please.
No,
Can you speak
number
now?
one comment in since beginning, even unable to hear you. So next time, keep it a little close. If you want, I will come to your office and hold it closer to your mouth next time.
So nice of you, but I don't know. I don't know. This is a problem. I have to work on it. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. But
that is the reason I was thinking to tell her. KK, good
okay.
compilation. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr.
Yeah, but we will discuss the other way also sometime, whenever you have time, on a cup of coffee or tea at my place or your place.
Most welcome, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful,
Doctor,
wonderful.
yeah, Mr.
Dinesh
Hariom
ji.
Yadav, please. Hariom Yadav ji.
Yeah, Sharma sir, actually, there has been a lot of discussion on the contributions and really good participation from the developed countries on this carbon emissions. Is there any study which has been done, carried out by somebody, your group or somebody, where it could be analyzed or find out that yeah, they have been really not going the way they should have, they have committed in different meetings of COP. Like in the case of India, we are a developing nation, and still a lot of commitments are being completed actually. So is there any analysis or comparison study between the developed countries and the developing countries?
Oh, I don't think that sort of comparison is available. Only thing is technologies are available. If you happen to, I think I really was very much enriched with the knowledge with the last lecture which Dr. Saraswat had given. I think Mr. Bang had invited us in Delhi last month. It was very enriching and very enlightening in terms of the various technologies, as well as I think the projects which he discussed in detail, and that is also available on the Niti Aayog website also. So those informations are available, but in terms of comparison, it is that sort of report I have not come across so far.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Bang, by any chance, have you received any copy of Dr. Saraswat's presentation? Do you have that on a Niti Aayog site or with you? That was very nice.
No, I think they have not shared this copy with us. But we request initially he had agreed that he will give us a copy, but then subsequently he said no, we cannot share these lecture.
But Mr. Bang, you had shared the entire link. I think that
But
is
then
good
we
enough
had,
for
we had done
presentation
the
for anyone to understand. If you ask
we had
me,
done the video recording.
so
And
that
from
is
that
that is
video
something
recording, our office staff tried to make a script out of that. So there are some errors in that, but I think it's a reasonably good script written down. If somebody likes, I can share it with them. I have not circulated because the language was not very good. The office staff has not really done a good job, but still it gives a sufficiently good idea. So if anybody
Yes.
wants, I can give it.
So it'll be nice to if you can share with me.
Yeah, I'll
That's
certainly
very
share
nice.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, Mr. Bang.
Yeah.
Even in fact, I see it during my travel
Okay.
to Aero City many times. It talks about everything.
Yeah, yes,
Very nice.
excellent, absolutely
It's a
excellent.
wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah.
presentation.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, true. Now,
Many,
since
many-
you have
Yeah, so
asked
please
me, I am asking a question to you, Mr. Sharma.
Yes, sir.
Is there any data prepared, I mean, in the industry anywhere, about the carbon value of different products? Suppose we are taking that as input in the industry, and ultimately you have create a, if you have to work on a net zero, then you must know how much carbon you are consuming and how much carbon you are exporting out. So isn't in data like you make a caustic chlorine, let's say, for example. So if you have produced 1 kilo of caustic soda, what is the carbon value of that?
Yeah. Very,
So-
I think very good question, sir.
So if you have any data available in the industry like this?
Yes, it is available, but it is not available in the public domain. Let me tell you, it is available in various softwares. Like we initiated almost 2 years back, life cycle assessment of our various products. Like for Bharuch facility, if you ask me what is my carbon, as I mentioned in the approach in one of the slide, where you are today, unless you monitor that, how you are going to do the control. So that is what we did 2 years back. We did all our product mapping and then did this life cycle assessment where it is called from gate to gate, whatever raw material we are receiving, like chloralkali, the salt and the power which is being used, that is the key raw material for chloralkali product besides other products. So I'm specifically limiting right now this answer to chloralkali, where we had done this life cycle assessment using a software called Gabi software. That software really brings out what are the hotspots where the GHG reductions can be taken. So in terms of whether it is process or transportation and even the packaging, whatever you are doing. So those things are very much made clear. In terms of treatment also, it talks about all these stages separately. And that really gives you that what is your carbon footprint for hydrogen, for caustic, for sodium bisulfite, all products what we are manufacturing, even aluminum chloride also.
So
So
it gives
that will help you.
that means it
and
gives a
that-
methodology.
And
That means
that-
does it give a methodology to calculate carbon thing, or is it only specific to your
gives
product?
that yes, sir. It gives methodology also. At the same time, it also provides benchmark, the global benchmark, which is available, the US values, the European values, or even the German values also. So all those values.
For how many chemicals it is listed? For how many chemicals?
I don't know. For chloralkali, it is available. For chloralkali, it is available. Let me check because we got it conducted for our this quota products also, which includes PVC and all, for which global data is right now awaited. The final report is still awaited, so I can share once.
Like we say that there were 80,000 chemicals produced at the commercial scale globally. Now, out of that, for how many chemicals such data would be available? And just a guess, if you think, or if in Dr. Saxena wants
need
to
to check
answer, or
that.
you can answer, or anyone can answer.
I don't know about myself right now. I can answer on my behalf is that this data I have to check with the service provider. There are two software now being used. One is this Gabi, as I mentioned. Second one is SEMA Pro. These are the one which most of the institutions like IIT and all are also utilizing. So
Okay.
I am going to the extent that even our Fenestra Windows also, we are getting that also now, you can say, life cycle assessment of various products we are getting into. So that unless you know where you stand, you can't do. Like you should know what is your carbon footprint. I think very, very interesting one which I can share at this point of time. We as an individual, Dr. Saxena many times talks about initiatives or lifestyle that our honorable minister, Prime Minister has launched 2 years back. Even we don't know our footprint today.
True.
So that's important aspect which we can start from our footprint first, where we are today. Whether I read recently, if a vegetarian person emits lower than the non-vegetarian one,
Very
which
good.
is very, very evident.
So Dinesh Chopra has to change his diet now.
So it's almost double. What I learned was 280, I think, is something kgs per meal, to against 700 also against the non-vegetarian per person.
So just on a note, sorry. Have you
But then
finished?
on the agriculture sector, you are also talking of some agriculture, because your company also in agri products. In general, I carry the impression that agriculture sector is also emitting a lot of carbon emission, and
Yes.
probably is much more than the industrial sector in that proportion. But how do you see on that?
It is something very, very important to touch upon, because if you see the water consumption in agriculture, it plays a very important role where it is being withdrawn from the ground or whatever. If it is being utilized, the power consumed in that is exorbitant. So if we promote good agri practices through various practices which are right from mulching to even the leveling of the land, where the utilization of water plays a very, very important role. So we could achieve, I think, huge reduction in terms of GHG emission if we follow good agri practices, even the spraying of various chemicals. That also, because ultimately it is one or the other way impacting GHG emission. So what you have talked about in terms of asked for is that GHG emission from agriculture in terms of utilizing, because that is why all these things are coming, the spray with utilizing the gadgets which are available now in terms of the drones and other. So those things are really contributing. And in fact, you see this GHG emission credits, the green credits, which is being launched by last year by MOEF, is something which is driving sustainable agriculture in the times to come. That's one aspect which will also create green credits opportunity for farmers also. As on date, it is for tree plantation and rainwater harvesting only, which is going to be extended to mangroves and sustainable agriculture also. So certainly it is an area of opportunity in agriculture also, whether it is agri inputs or even the soil health also. The carbon content in the soil plays a very important role.
So
Then another question I have is, I mean, technology wise, can you sorry, Dinesh, I have one more question, and then please go ahead. This last one. Technology wise, can you say one you have mentioned was one basically, of course, rest are okay, conservation initiatives, but technology wise, you have used carbon dioxide to make calcium carbonate from calcium hydroxide to create a sludge which can be mixed with. So that's as a technology concept, I would say. Like that, any other technology concept you would like to say on the industry? If not within your industry, maybe outside the industry?
Sir, even hybrid also. We are into hybrid research also. There are specific hybrid of wheat or even rice or vegetables also, which are weather resistant. When I talk about weather resistant, it means it is ultimately resistant to drought also. It also resistant to pest control also. It also resistant to various other agri-related challenges which farmers face. So that's how there are specific hybrids which are ultimately shared with the farmers, so that once they go, and it is area wise. It is not that whatever is there in our eastern part, it will be successful in western. So it is the area specific that hybrid ultimately is something which provides a weather resistant, you can say hybrid that ultimately produces more in terms of productivity. That's what is there in our sugarcane business also, and various other hybrid seeds also.
Okay, go ahead with other questions.
So, no, I wanted to just add, yesterday I was a continuation of whatever we were discussing before. I was on a CII panel yesterday, and
A little bit
the major,
louder, Dinesh.
the major issue which was coming up. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
So the major issue which they said is basically the soil quality is reducing very strongly, and we have to be very careful on that and understand that and do something about it. Second is the dairy is another major contributor to this, and the third one was the rice, which we have been using in Punjab, which people are putting it. These are the three other major areas which are being we should be very watchful of and of the concern of that. And also, it was interesting that thousands of species, because of the environmental things happening globally, they are just getting extinct every year or every day, which is we are not even aware of that. So there's a much bigger impact. Of course, we will have another round of things or many other rounds to discuss and take action on that. And sorry, before we go there, any last question anybody has before we
Kannan.
close?
Mr.
Kannan has
Kannan,
one.
Mr. Kannan wanted.
Please.
Yeah. Hi, I think most of you do not know me. My name is Kannan. I'm actually from Ahmedabad. And KK and I we were classmates. In fact, we shared the room for the first couple of years. So KK, excellent presentation. I have one question. I have a few comments, but I will get back to you offline. But one question is, have you done any work? You had shown one example about converting calcium hydroxide to calcium carbonate. But in your power plants, you have a lot of flue gases containing some, fair amount of CO2. Have you done anything on those power plants, any carbon capture technologies, and did you find them viable?
No, right now it is not done, but I am aware of companies, maybe I can discuss offline, where those flue gases are getting ultimately utilized for generating 99.9% CO2 that is being used for making dicamba. That's a pesticide, if you know. That is being utilized. It's already operational now.
Okay. Thanks.
Because CO2, that is basically the CO2 is utilized for carbonation purpose. And that's from the flue gas only.
Yeah.
That's the only technology I know as of now. But as far as my company is concerned, we haven't tried so far.
Okay.
So,
but as far as CO2 is concerned, in our distillery we produce much, very much, where it is getting bottled and ultimately utilized by bottling plants.
कहाँ जा रही हो?
बाथरूम में जा रही हूँ.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Kannan, for joining us, and thank you, KK, for giving us such
Pankaj wants to say something. I think
Pankaj, please. I think he can give a vote of thanks also along with the thing, because I don't want to. You have given such an elaborate way and nice way. I think there is no way to concise it. You have given everything on your journey and everything. Pankaj, please go ahead. Ask your question and give a vote of thanks.
No, first of all, big thanks to KK for the nice presentation, quite comprehensive and quite an eye-opener also in many cases. The example for converting sludge to calcium carbonate, so killing two birds with the same stone, basically, you're absorbing the CO2 as well as using your sludge waste. So two devils you're taking out, so that's very nice. And as you were just mentioning that you all are using the captured CO2 into your carbon, for further use. So in one of the forums, when I was suggesting, there's people who are using this carbon capture technologies and capturing carbon. And when they're using making a product out of it, those products should be labeled as green product. And they could be given some weightage. We could, when the point system which will be made for this carbon trading should also give due weightage to these products which are using CCUS. So I think that's one thing which we can collectively take up in a joint forum. So otherwise,
Pankaj, just to let you know, there is already eco-labeling rules which have come up, whereby this green initiatives, if you are undertaking, you can also apply to CPCB It is still
Okay.
underway. Right now, all
Okay.
those administration work is going on. So in terms of, I think eco-labeling is something which is being again promoted by MOEF.
Okay.
So that these technologies, if we are doing it, then it can also be certified and then you can get that eco-label also, which will really help you to do branding of your product also.
Because that will eventually help to mitigate the cost, because all these
Yeah.
technologies are available at huge cost. So who foots the bill is the question. So with this eco-labeling, I think that will also help in defraying the costs.
Yeah.
So once again, a big thanks to KK for the nice presentation, and look forward for any suggestions in the people who have joined. They can also separately email the suggestions or put up in our group of ICT group, and would request more active participation by all our members in the WhatsApp group also, and in the future seminars being organized by us. Thank you.
Dinesh
Thank you
ji,
very much. Yeah, Hari Om Yadav ji.
yeah, there is a young looking engineer, Mr. Sivasis Mahapatra. We should hear him also if at all he has some observation or comments. We are all older people. I see his photograph. Mahapatra ji, you have any observations, please?
Sibashish, if you are there, can you say something? Oh, I thought he's not there.
Pankaj ji, go ahead.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir,
And
actually,
nice
Yeah.
everybody having it.
Actually, sir, I am Satya Sankar Raj. I am head of the department of a government polytechnic where you are teaching chemical engineering, sir. So this webinar is being watched by many of our students. So Sivasi Mahapatra is one of the faculty, sir. So we are
Okay.
thankful to you that that you are giving us such a nice seminar. I hope in the future also we will be able to join in such seminars, sir.
So can you
Thank you.
share with us the write-up, whatever who was joining and from where you are, so that we can take care of that. in
Okay,
future
sir.
Also, and add in our reporting of this. Thing.
Dinesh ji, take the mic up, please.
Oh, sorry. I said you can share with us whatever whosoever is there small write-up, so that
Okay,
we
okay,
can
sir.
include in our this report, and also in future we take care of that.
Okay. So can I have the email ID, sir? Or shall I share in the group that I have? I'm in a group, chemical engineering group, where I got the link.
Okay. So I think KK, can you? Okay, I'll do that with you. How you can do it in the chemical, or you have Mr. Bunk's.
In the chat, please put your email ID in the chat.
Yeah. In the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah,
put
I will
your
just you can put it
In the
on
chat
the
box,
chat
please
box.
put your email
Yeah.
ID.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll take care of that.
Okay.
Your
very
phone
much.
number and your email ID, so we can be
Sure,
in
sir.
touch. That will be helpful. And
Yeah,
very nice initiative by you to let the students watch the seminar. So it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's very heartening. Good.
And maybe I take this opportunity to even ask also if there are specific topics you are of there are some interest, you can also suggest those also, so that we can see if some, not only from us, but if some outsider or some external expert can be called or invited, certainly we can look into that aspect also.
Thank you very much, sir. Actually, sir, 14 of our students recently joined in DCM Siram. They are all from Orissa, Baruch plant.
Great.
And one of my students is working there, Nilamada Panda.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the current expansion, they are all working, sir.
Okay.
That's
Nice
very
to hear that.
Very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I'll keep open till he puts in his thing, and if others want to leave, please do that.
Okay.
Thank
you very much,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Sharma ji. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, KK. Thank you, KK. So
Okay.
nice of you. Oh, Mr. Satyasai Raj left without putting the thing.
Yeah, I think we'll have to contact him separately and get it done. Somebody will be having the number. We'll try to find out.
Yeah. Let's hope. Let's wait for a few days. So
Chalo
Pankaj,
then.
if it's you and me, we together, so let's look at it but we were looking at our thing, you know. If he joins in, that we could, you know, by chance. So any progress of how should we look at it?
Let me
Our
just
plan.
give me 2-3 days more. I'll try to get it done over the next week. So because I've been out for past now 10-12 days. So I told my office they have done some work, but I couldn't go through it. So let me just check it up. And then by next week, I think we can discuss on it. How are the timelines coming up and what is the budgeting coming up? A brief idea we will get, and then we can circulate in our group.
Yeah, and then, you know, let's freeze on to the plan, because जितने भी लोग आते हैं यार, मतलब, you know, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 couples, you know, whoever wants to come in, it'll be good interaction among us anyway, you know, and
Okay, so let me get it done, and maybe slightly towards Feb end, I think is what could be comfortable. But just let me get it planned, and then we'll discuss on that.
That's right. I think yeah. So and it should be around in the week of 19th only, you know.
Okay, okay.
Because that looks good for the perspective of you know, from somewhere, yeah, in the 3rd, 15th to anywhere.
ठीक है,
15 के बाद ही रखते हैं.
ठीक है.
जब भी
I think
लगे.
KK was also mentioning somewhere towards those dates only. Yeah.
Because मार्च में जाके फिर वो लोग you know, अपना क्लोजिंग ये वो सब हो जाता है सबका, so that can be an issue. So 15 और 23 के बीच में रखते हैं.
ठीक है. चलो, let me plan it and I'll circulate it then.
Great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
see you
Pankaj.
then.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
joining.
Bye.
You too.
He hasn't put up still, I think.
Yeah. So it's fine. Let him find the way back. He
Okay.
gave the number